Welcome to ChiroSphere, where we talk about all things chiropractic and, well, some things not so chiropractic. I'm Dr. Ray Foxworth, your host for ChiroSphere and CEO of ChiroHealth USA, the network that works for chiropractic. Our guest today is Dr. Alan Sokoloff, affectionately known as Dr. Sok. He's the owner and clinic director of the Yalich Clinic Performance and Rehab in Glen Burnie, Maryland, where he's practiced for over 38 years. His expertise in chiropractic care and sports medicine is underscored by his role as team chiropractor for the NFL's Baltimore Ravens since 1999, including their 2 Super Bowl championships, and for the Baltimore Orioles, as well as their AA team and is it Bowie or Bowie Bay Sox?
Yeah, Bowie Bay Sox.
Bowie, well, there are 3 ways to pronounce that.
Yeah.
Been doing that since 2009. He's been part of the University of Maryland's sports medicine team since 1991. Recognized for his contributions to the field, Dr. Sok was named Maryland's Chiropractor of the Year in 2001 and 2, and Sports Chiropractor of the Year by the ACA Board of Sports Physicians in 2006. Dr. Sok's accolades include his motivational wellness and injury prevention consultant role, providing guidance and support to individuals and organizations. His dedication to educating the community about health and wellness is evident in his decade-long hosting of the health show Talking Back on AM 680 and his production of award-winning injury and prevention videos. Welcome, Dr. Sok.
Thank you so much for having me. I mean, I gotta be fair. I gotta tell you. So I've been listening and watching and catching up with your podcast, and I'm like, I felt like I did when I was in the minor leagues, working minor league baseball. When am I gonna get called up? Will I get called up? And then when I got the call to finally be on your show, I felt I made it. I'm here, so I'm excited.
Next in the mail, my friend. So you've been practicing for over 38 years.
Scary.
Tell me about it. What drew you to chiropractic in the first place?
That's kind of an interesting story, and it kind of goes with my bio a little bit. I originally went to, believe it or not, to college to go into pharmacy, and one of my side hustles in undergrad college was I was a disc jockey. Many people don't understand what a DJ really means, but we used to have to carry these extremely large, flat, black things called records. And I had hurt my back at one point carrying one of those records or cases of them, along with extremely large speakers. And I got introduced to chiropractic. So there you go.
There's the path. So when you first started practice, were you involved in the sports arena then, or did that come later in your career?
I always loved sports, always. And I came originally from New Jersey, came to practice in Maryland. And at that time, Maryland had lost, the Baltimore Colts had gone to Indianapolis. So I had lost the opportunity to work football. I had an interview with a gentleman named Donald Trump about a USFL job that the league folded 2 days before the interview. So I started working where I went to college at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and helping out in the training room. And that's kind of where the roots or the foundation for my sports came from, working in a small college with limited resources, except a kick butt head athletic trainer named Cindy Kubiak that kind of taught me the grassroots of athletic training and chiropractic as it pertains to sports medicine.
Got it. So something that struck me in your bio is that you've been part of the university sports team since 91 and part of the medical team for the Ravens since 99. For those that haven't been around, like us who have been around for a while now, clearly chiropractic was far from being accepted back then, much less embraced by the medical community. How the hell did you pull that off? Kind of walk us through that journey.
You know, believe it or not, it's rather simple. It's communication, right? So back then, It was a matter of communicating with somebody that I knew, hey, I can be a part and this would be my part. I can do this to help you out. And not just the chiropractic stuff too. Yep. There are small things that we can do as healthcare practitioners that kind of overlap everything from rolling ace bandages to folding towels. But it was the little parts and communicating exactly what my role could be and does that fit into what the head athletic trainer is looking for. With the Baltimore Ravens, I was brought in just during the regular season to adjust. That was my job. The next year, that role expanded because we communicated. Well, I didn't know you do this, or I didn't know chiropractic can help with that. And then the role continued to increase. And all the while that's happening, the basic root of everything that everyone in my position or people like me in my position have to do is thank all the providers out there that are treating kids on a regular basis, that are treating high school athletes at a regular basis who get to college and they say, hey, do you have a chiropractor here? That get to the pros, say, hey, where's your chiropractor? So it was almost a consumer, we hit a certain point of chiropractic helping in sports and us doing everything we could to get in the door. But after that, the wave caught on, just ride the wave, because now it's not an outside part of athletic training and caring for the athletic wellness of an athlete. It's common.
It's an integral part of it. Yeah.
Yep.
It was something you said, I think is so important. And I've certainly found it in my career. If you want to change things, just show up. And I have seen so many in our profession that say, we're discriminated against. They don't like us. The medical profession doesn't embrace us. And in my career, my practice was on the campus, a partner in a spine center, 13 MDs, neurosurgery, orthopedic, physical medicine, rehab, the whole range of anybody that does anything spine. We were part of that. And I got there because I showed up. I got out of my comfort zone. And the reality is, I'm tell you just a quick story. I sent out 500 letters to the medical community in my area because I got pissed off because a hospital and a doctor wouldn't release records to me. And this was on the heels of the Wilt case. And I basically outlined, here's who I am. I think the opening was, you're probably wondering why you're getting an 11-page letter from this crazy damn chiropractor, Well, and I told them who I was, what I did, what my training was, when to refer to a chiropractor and when to never refer to a chiropractor. I got 2 calls from a couple of MDs that said, I don't know who the hell you think you are. Don't ever send me anything again. I say, okay, you're off the Christmas card list.
Yeah.
But 2 days later, Alan, I got a call from River Oaks Hospital asking me to lecture to the orthopedic group. I got a call from University Medical Center asking me to come speak to the neurosurgery residents. And it's like, was I uncomfortable? Damn right I was. But the reality, what I began to realize was, if we're going to sit on the sideline and blame the other professions for not understanding and accepting us, that gives them the power to come to us and understand. And the reality is, that's not their job. That really is our job.
Absolutely.
It's our job to get out and to go to them. So I always encourage docs, show up. What's the worst thing that can happen? They tell you, we want you here. The best thing can happen is you have a career like I had and like you're having, which is,
right.
Been a dream come true.
And if I could tell you on that,
yeah.
I've been through experiences where I've had multiple head athletic trainers, and every time there's a change, there can be a change in your duties and what you're required to do. And there could be a change in chiropractor. So you could be gone for no reason. And along the way, I've had my responsibility change drastically from being able to adjust, do soft tissue, dry needle, do all these sorts of things, to now just adjust and no extremities. And a lot of people in our profession, and this is where, so I have my Dr. Stock Sweet 16 tips for getting involved and staying involved. in sports chiropractic. And number one is leaving your ego at the door. Because if your ego peeks its way out of that door, you're going to lose your job. So I made a conscious decision. Okay, I'll do this just adjust, and I'll just work on the spine thing, even though I know all these other things. But I'll do that because now it gives me a chance to educate this health-minded person who is looking out for the well-being of athletes, to let them know more about me and more about what I could do to accent what that person's job is.
I think the phrase for that is meet them where they are and take them
Yeah.
where you want them to go.
Look, I have a very dear friend, and you know him well too. And without mentioning his name, there was a change in athletic trainers for him. And I said, hey, the wave is coming. You're going to have to change some stuff. So we had a meeting with the athletic trainer, and the athletic trainer said, hi, very nice to meet you. I want you here on Tuesday and Thursday. And this chiropractor who had been with the organization for a while said, no, I come on Monday, Wednesday, Friday because blah, blah, blah. And the athletic trainer said, well, I want you here Tuesday, Thursday. And a couple days later, the athletic trainer met with the chiropractor and said, we've decided to go in a different direction. So people don't understand. I don't know what number it is on my Sweet 16, but you need to know who's in charge. And certainly, it's not my full-time job to be responsible for the health and well-being of any of the athletes that I work with. If they come to my office, I'm in charge.
Right.
I'm the king. This is my domain. But outside of my office, I hate to use, Dr. J always teases me because I use this word. I'm a tool. If they need a Phillips head screwdriver, maybe I'm that Phillips
You're the
head.
guy. Yeah.
But if they need a flathead, then they're going to call it somebody else. Could I also do that? Absolutely, but it's not my call.
Yeah. I think that's really interesting. We as chiropractors kind of operate as an island a lot of times in our practices, and stepping into that role, you really have to, I think, understand that you are now part of a team. And if you're not the boss, you're part of that team, and you kind of got to follow their lead, I would assume.
Right, and you know what? And it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to be the king of your island. It is okay because those are the people that are taking care of these athletes that give me the opportunity to take care of them at a different level. So it's okay, but you can't play by your office rules outside of your office.
Yeah, I agree. So as a team chiropractor for the Ravens and Orioles, what are some of the unique challenges and rewards that you've seen in working with professional athletes? Because they're at a whole nother level compared to the average patient that comes in deconditioned, into our offices.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, a lot of the same rules apply. So some of the rewards why I like to work with the athletes that I do, I like to see immediate results. Right. So if you're working in your office and you adjust Mrs. Smith's neck, now she can back the car out of her driveway because she can turn her head. You'll find out about that like a week later. But maybe somebody can kick the ball further, throw the ball further, rotate better, and they have a great day. So that's kind of rewarding. But that's a double-edged sword too, right? And this is where our profession isn't the best at this. If you're going to take the accolades because someone does something absolutely fantastic, when that person's in a slump, that's on you too. You can't have it both ways. So I like the immediate gratification, and I like working as a team. I like to communicate. I like to maybe I got good grades when I was little for playing well in the sandbox with other people because that's what I enjoy, and sharing ideas, exchanging techniques and things so that everyone's focused on that athlete. That's to me the most rewarding.
So I know you produced some award-winning injury prevention videos and concussion prevention DVDs. What motivated you to create those resources, and how has the sports community benefited from that, and your practice?
So it was a chance for me to take what I've learned at the highest level of football and bring it back to my community. At the end of the day, working with all these pro teams, it's not going to put your kids through college and buy giant boats and retire. It for me, it's a lot of sanity. It is additional income. It's a great side hustle, but it's also a place to get information and then disseminate it. That's kind of what one of the mission statements of the Professional Football Chiropractic Society is. And when we started it, I had the same idea in mind. Let's learn things and then pass them on. So here in Anne Arundel County, in the state of Maryland, where I am, I do lectures and teach information that I learned at the highest level. Then I was able to take a lot of that information, use actually some of the personalities that were on our team, and create videos at the time when videos were really big, and that's how everyone was learning. On simple things that might be secondary to you, but a parent having to make a decision doesn't know. I'm also very actively involved in teaching coaches here in the county on all different sports. And my new, but not new, because I've been doing the same thing for 30 plus years, but one of my biggest passions now is getting people to understand what an emergency action plan is, EAP. Here in Maryland, it's not as bad as other parts of the country, but kids are dying because somebody does not know something. I don't care whether it is an athletic trainer or a chiropractor. I'm part of a group called BASH, or Baltimore Area Sports Health Initiative, which is now expanded. And when we started, I'm one of the on the board. When we started, there was one athletic trainer for 9 Baltimore City high schools. One.
Right.
And like some people say, it's like sending your kids swimming in the deep end without a lifeguard, right? You wouldn't do that. But yet we roll the dice with the lives of these kids. And now we have 9 athletic trainers in all high school. And that's a great story. I did a speaking gig in Oklahoma, and I'm doing my research, and only 25% of high schools in Oklahoma have an athletic trainer. Like, what? Who's taking care of these athletes? And you read the legal cases, and you read, what's happened to kids. And I've been fortunate or unfortunate to testify in cases regarding some of the things. Is it really neglect, or was it something else? And there is a huge, huge role for chiropractic and chiropractors in helping smaller communities develop these emergency action plans, prevent heat-related illness and dehydration, prevent concussions, recognize concussions, and just look out for the well-being of kids. So if you want to get involved in sports and you're the king of your jungle in your office, just crack that door open a little bit. Your community needs you.
I think that is so important. I mean, I certainly have friends. Certainly my kids are long grown and gone, but I have friends who have younger kids, and they're involved in soccer or baseball, and they're on travel teams and select teams. And man, when you look at some of their schedules and how often they're practicing and how often they're actually in games, well, you talk about overuse syndromes, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, some parents push their kids because they weren't the star when they were the kid, and I think it is absolutely critical for them to have an understanding of what are the risks of pushing a 12-year-old so damn far that they end up with a Tommy John surgery or or something like that. So back to the videos for a second. Are those available for other doctors to use in their practice?
They may be out there in circulation someplace, but they know back a little bit. And in fact, I will fully disclose I probably had a mullet at the time that they.
Now I'm going to have to go out and get one of them just to see that.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, you can find if you're really in the search of a really good mullet. I used to, when I started my sports chiropractic career, I used to do a lot with the used to be the Crystal Lake and the Reebok National Aerobic Championships, and I would get chiropractors in every state. There were 10 states around the country where the competitions would occur. And then I eventually became a judge, and it used to be televised on ESPN. So if you're up late one night and you really can't sleep and you want to see a really good mullet, like I think it was 1989 or something, that would be me.
Of all the things I expected to learn on today's podcast, that was not one of them. But
Now that's
yeah.
that, but it's one
Good
I'm
old
proud
Google,
of.
we'll find you out there. Nothing ever goes away, right?
Yeah, not anymore.
So in '99, you were part of the medical team for Pan Am Games and served a residency with the U.S. Olympic Training Center. What did you learn from that, and how did it impact you in your day-to-day practice?
So it was 1997. It was the year after Atlanta, when we hosted the Olympics there, and I had applied to do my rotation at the USOC. I had applied for 4 or 5 years, and I finally got in, and I was so excited. Um, I had the opportunity to again share and learn, and based on how you did during that rotation and how rotations went for the previous years, they would pick 1 or 2 doctors to be able to move on to the next games. So that's where I learned, and I did learn because I did this before. That's why I literally rolled up giant ace bandages and folded towels and wiped down tables and did whatever was necessary to be a part of that team in that training room. And my greatest ability was my availability. I was there all the time. Whereas some other doctors saw this as a vacation opportunity. You're in Colorado Springs. They're putting you up, and so I really enjoyed and I had a great education. As a result of my work there were 2 doctors, myself and Dr. Andy Klein, that of the previous 4 years that got elevated to the next level, and that was for the Goodwill Games. And for those that are older, you'll remember them. For those who aren't, Goodwill Games were televised, Turner Broadcasting, taking the best athletes in the world, pay them a bunch of money to all compete against each other on the off years of the Olympics. And I had a chance to do that with Dr. Andy Klein. He was in one place, I was in another. There were 2 campuses for the event. And based on that, one of us was going to the Pan Am Games and one was going to the Olympics. So Dr. Klein was fortunate enough to get the gig to go to the Olympics, which were in Sydney, Australia. And they were the summer games, but they were actually occurring in the fall. I got the Pan Am Games in '99 in Manitoba, Canada. A great experience working with some really great people who I still keep in touch with. But in 2000, that's when I got invited to join the Baltimore Ravens, which if I would have got the Olympic gig, I would have had to make a decision. But they made the right decision. Dr. Klein is one of the best sports chiropractors ever. So everything really worked out. But again, another great learning opportunity.
Well, hang tight, everyone, while we take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. Welcome back to our podcast with Dr. Alan Sokoloff, affectionately known as Dr. Sok. So you served as president of both the Professional Football Chiropractic Association and the Maryland Chiropractic Association. Are doctors who are not currently part of the NFL's medical team participating in that association? I mean, do you have to be an NFL doctor to be a part of that, or do you have events that they can go and learn from the doctors that are part of those teams?
Well, great question. So we have an organization of us, the chiropractors that are currently working in the NFL. And we've been asked about, what about college? Well, what about USFL? Well, what about, right now, it's the professional football, the NFL team chiropractors in the organization. And we only meet once a year on a Thursday. But on that very same weekend, we host what I think is one of the best learning opportunity conferences in Indianapolis. And it's usually the last weekend of February, first weekend in March, where we have some of the best speakers. The way that we run our educational program, half of it is lecture, half of it is hands-on, and you're learning from the best of the best, but that's not all. Because amongst the audience are all the guys that are in the NFL. And people have questions. And every one of our guys is very approachable. And that's what I use that word because I hear that feedback all the time. Like, oh my gosh, you guys answered my questions. You help with this, you help with that. And we also host our own student doctor combine, which is kind of like speed dating for sports-minded chiropractors looking for associates. I've actually hired 2 from our conferences over the last 20 years. So it's a great conference. Like what are you going to do in Indianapolis? It's cold. It's usually miserable weather. We're inside learning from each other. You could go watch the combine or where the college athletes are trying out to be part of a professional team at times as well. So it's a neat opportunity to see, touch, learn, feel. Paul.
So, as a coordinator for the County Youth Coaches Certification and Educational Clinics, what kind of advice are you giving to the coaches regarding injury prevention and just overall athletic wellness?
Right. So I coordinate a lot of different things, but the main things that I focus on, number one, is recognition and prevention of concussions. Number 2, preventing heat-related illness and dehydration. Number 3 is some of the sports psychology involved with dealing and coaching kids at a young age. Now, I utilize some of the talent in this area to do the psychology stuff. That's not who and what I am. And we actually do some other things with strength and conditioning coaches on how these fathers, parents who have no coaching background should really be running a practice, not the way they had it when they were in high school. So those are the areas that I focus on. Like in the world of concussion, for example, you and I could be sitting at home watching TV, a game, and you see somebody get dinged, and you're like, why aren't they taking that guy out? And then, oh my gosh, then they finally take that person out. You're like, wait a minute, don't they have medical staff? There's stuff gets missed, right? And that's at a professional level where there's people with cameras and every angle, and stuff still gets missed. So how much gets missed on a youth football sideline? Or how much gets missed in a U9 girls soccer game? So I try to educate coaches and parents on the recognition, and when in doubt, hold them out and tell stories about how coaches let kids in, what the consequences are. And we're talking about youth sports. Does it really matter? Going back to what your point was about how intense some of the parents make it. And then I'll even touch on one of my taboo things, and you can get some of my colleagues to back me up. I hate to talk about nutrition. Hate Dr. Sidney Howard, all the rest of them. They could talk about nutrition till forever. I don't do that. But as far as the hydration stuff goes, coaches are handed a kid that may have ate junk all day, may have drank Pepsi all day, or some sugar carbonated caffeinated beverage, and these coaches are now handed this kid who's in horrible condition and wants to make them work. It's a matter of teaching the coaches and teaching the parents to teach the kids of what they should be doing on days they have practice, what they should do on days they have tournaments. Yeah, and no, a lot of this isn't from chiropractic school, but it's opening up and learning what's on the outside and applying what you've learned as a healthcare professional to help your community.
Yeah, I can remember years back, and as a kid, you got hurt on the field, and it's all rub some dirt on it and walk it off. Um, you know, kids are bigger, they're more muscular. Whether we're from kids all the way up. I mean, my God, I see some of these NFL games, and I see some of these hits that occur, and it's like, okay, I would be dead.
Yeah.
How do these people even get up? And you cannot have that kind of impact,
Right?
physical impact on someone else
Yes.
without without some potential for significant injury. And then they don't, and you're right, they don't always show up immediately.
Well,
So
I tell people this all the time. Like, football players are getting bigger, stronger, and faster, right? And I'm not. I got to take care of these guys that are getting bigger, stronger, and faster. So for me, football season is an opportunity for me to get myself in the best physical shape possible, so I could do the best possible job to be able to help them.
I think that's something else that perhaps in our chiropractic education, we certainly didn't have it when I was going through school. But again, I've practiced for 35 plus years. And I don't think the public, much less a lot of the chiropractors, don't realize, unless they've been in it a while, what a physical toll that chiropractic actually takes on us. And, just like you're talking about coaching athletes, the importance of making sure that we're staying healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, all those other things.
All of it.
I mean, you can't take care of somebody else if you're not taking care of yourself, I guess, is a takeaway from that.
Yeah.
So we're going to round. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to agree 1,000%. I always say, in order to take care of number one, you have to take care of number one. And if number one in your life is take care of your family, you got to take care of yourself. Number one in your life is take care of your job and the things to do. You got to take care of yourself. Look, I remember it was hard for a chiropractor to get disability insurance back in the day.
Mhm.
Now it's like nearly impossible. And there's a reason, because we break down. If you don't take care of yourself, and we preach to patients all day, we got to take care of ourselves.
No doubt. So I have a self-serving question. I know you used to be part of another discount medical plan before you became a ChiroHealth USA provider. Can you tell me why you made the change and what impact being part of us has had on your practice?
All right. So I am proud that I made the change, and I'm a little embarrassed that it took as long as I did.
I forget.
So I couldn't. I don't even remember what the other one was called. Like, it was an acronym, PC something. I will tell you why I made the change, because of what you guys and ChiroHealth USA represents. And whenever I talk to people just in general, just patients, to say, this isn't just some insurance company, whatever. These are people that support our profession. These are people that give back to the profession, and not just financially. Anybody can stroke a check, even though it's hard to do that, right? But it's putting the proper people in the right positions to better educate. Like, your team of speakers, your team, your staff, Christy and Heather, they're out on the roads educating chiropractors, chiropractic assistants, admin people on ways that we can keep our chiropractic school does a great job of teaching us to be chiropractors, does a horrible job on the business end of things.
Right.
And we come out with these grandiose ideals, or we learn from somebody that's been practicing way too long. I sat down with one of your consultants like maybe 2 years ago just to review stuff. And I'm like, I'm a freaking caveman. What was I thinking when I did this or did that? I know I just gave you like a fire familiar direction answer, but it helped me better organize. It helped me better legally do things the right way. And for me, that's what I'm always concerned about is I work way too hard or way too long to make a mistake because I just said, okay, you can only pay $10. I like you. You're wearing purple shoes today. It's $5 for you. You say you don't have enough. Okay. Or your deductibles, $20,000. Okay. Okay. And just made it uniform. I it's one thing in my life I don't worry about anymore. And it makes me feel good to be able to help and offer patients things that help them. So I don't even know that I gave you an answer. I just ramble.
And I appreciate the acknowledgement. And again, self prompted, obviously, but we are involved in a lot of things that have nothing to do with the operation of our network and discount medical plan. And our purpose, cause, and passion is to improve the quality of life of our doctors, their patients, their teams, and our teams. And so, everything we try to do involves advancing the profession and giving back to it. And I certainly appreciate you making that change and being part of the network. So
Oh, my gosh.
I got some just for fun questions.
Okay.
Who's your hero and why?
My hero, the first one that comes to mind was my high school football coach named Jim Horner, who he taught me a lot of things very early on, not stuff on hydration, because back then we had 2 water breaks, one before practice and one after practice, so that wasn't good. But he taught me that I could always be better and work harder. And really neat side story to that is he coached 2 other people that were part of the Ravens organization along with me. So we had 3 Cherokee High School graduate football players on the Ravens. Unfair advantage to the rest of the league. But go ahead, next question.
What talent do you have that most people don't know about?
I think they know. I communicate. I talk. And I have horrible listening skills. At least that's what my wife said. So, but I've gotten better at that. And it's your ability to listen first and be able to talk that helps you get involved in sports and stay involved in sports. But people send letters to the Ravens all the time, and they make them personal sometimes of why they should be the team chiropractor and not Alan. And you know what? They could be better adjusters than me. They could be better at a certain technique than me. But they can't listen or talk their way out of a paper bag to be able to communicate and do what's best for the athlete amongst the sports medicine community.
One final one. What's the worst job you ever had?
You know what, Ray? I don't think I've had a worse job. I can tell you I pumped gas. I wore a white jumpsuit and I pumped gas. That wasn't, I have one for you. I installed carpet. And freaking kicking carpet and installing and carrying and tearing it up is the worst job. I had that job for one summer only.
Well, that's probably a smart thing. Otherwise, your knees would be shot.
Oh my gosh. I have new respect for anybody that comes to my house, in my office, and they have to install carpet. I'm like watching and yeah.
Yeah, not fun. Well, Alan, I really appreciate you spending some time with me today. And thanks to everyone to listening to the ChiroSphere podcast. Please subscribe and share the podcast with your friends. Let us know who you'd like to hear from in the future, and we'll try to get them on. If you want to learn more about ChiroHealth USA and how we can help you develop a compliant, profitable discount strategy that will absolutely grow your practice, your income, and most importantly, that profitability, call us at 888-719-9990. Or visit our website at chusa.com, that's CHUSA.com, to find out why ChiroHealth USA is the network that works for chiropractic and you. Thanks so much, Alan.
Thank you very much.